we all want to get to the point, right? Cut through the noise and really understand something without getting lost in all the extra stuff.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Diving deep into some really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So today, we're going to be talking about the Camino de Santiago.
Okay.
And we're going to be looking at some personal reflections about what it's like to actually walk the Camino.
Cool.
And we're not just talking about the travel stuff, like where to stay and all that.
Right.
We're really interested in something deeper.
Right.
Like how this whole experience can reveal something about what it means to be human.
Yeah, the Camino seems to have this way of stripping away all those little differences we usually get hung up on.
Yeah, exactly. And showing us what we all share.
Mm-hmm.
So to kick things off, the author of these reflections makes a really strong statement right at the beginning.
Okay.
They say, the Camino has no religion, no gender, no color, no bigotry, no misogyny, no racism. It is a human journey for all who want to do it.
Wow, that's a powerful statement.
It is, right? It's like setting the stage for everything that follows.
Definitely.
So I'm curious, does the author actually see this ideal reflected in their own experience?
You know, it's really interesting because they talk about meeting all kinds of people on the Camino, people with different faiths and beliefs, or no beliefs at all, people of all genders, ages, sexual orientations, abilities, you name it. It's like this incredibly diverse group of people all coming together.
It's really striking when you think about it, because it's not just about the diversity being there, it's about what's missing.
What do you mean?
Well, you don't see those typical social hierarchies and prejudices that we're so used to in everyday lives.
It's true.
There's like everyone's on a level playing field because they're all facing the same challenges and vulnerabilities.
Yeah, I guess when you're out there on the Camino, those things that usually divide us just become less important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, there's this idea in social psychology that shared challenges can actually bring people together, even if they come from very different backgrounds.
Makes sense.
And it's not just a walk in the park, right? This is a physically and mentally demanding journey.
Oh, absolutely.
And that seems to be a big part of what makes it so transformative.
Right. You always hear people saying things like, the Camino changes you, or you're not the same at the end.
Yeah, like it strips away everything that's not essential and leaves you with a clearer sense of who you are.
That's a really great way to put it. Like a crucible.
Exactly.
And the author actually says, I didn't come to find God, I came to find myself, which I think speaks volumes about the internal journey that happens alongside the physical one.
Yeah, it's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's about self-discovery.
Exactly.
And that's a perfect segue into what really stood out to me when reading these reflections, the idea that helping each other is what makes us truly human.
Right. The author says, what makes us human is helping each other. And they don't just say it, they really show it through their experiences.
Yeah, give us some examples.
Well, there's this one story about someone carrying another person's bag because they were struggling.
Oh.
And then there's another one about someone sharing their last banana.
That's so kind.
And even just small acts of physical support, like helping someone up a steep hill or something.
It's like these small acts of generosity build up to create something really powerful.
Absolutely.
And this is where I think the idea of the sameness moment comes in. It's this concept coined by Lena Nahas.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It's that feeling you get when you connect with someone on a purely human level, and all those superficial differences just melt away.
Right. It's like you see past their culture, their background, their social status, and you just recognize their shared humanity, their emotions, their experiences.
And the author explicitly connects this idea to their experience on the Camino.
Yeah, they talk about how those things that usually divide us in society just don't seem to matter as much when everyone's a pilgrim.
It's like the shared experience of being on this journey together creates a sense of unity. So you have this backdrop of the Camino as a universal human experience, and then you have this constant theme of people helping each other out in big and small ways. And to really bring this to life, the author shares some really powerful personal anecdotes about encountering this kindness firsthand.
Okay, like what?
So there's this one story about a German woman that really stuck with me.
Okay, I'm listening.
So the author is walking on this quieter, less traveled stretch of the route between Burgos and Lyon.
Okay.
And they run out of water.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And they're getting really dehydrated. They're walking for hours in the heat, and they're starting to feel desperate.
That sounds awful.
It was. At one point, they even considered drinking from a puddle, which is how you know it was bad.
Wow.
And then, seemingly out of nowhere, this German woman appears.
Okay.
And she offers the author her very last bottle of water.
Seriously? That's incredible.
It is right, especially when you consider that she must have been thirsty herself.
Yeah, that's true selflessness.
Exactly. And they end up walking together for a while and talking, and it's only later that the author fully realizes how much that woman sacrificed for them.
That's a beautiful story. It really shows that even in the toughest situations, people are still willing to help each other out.
It definitely renewed my faith in humanity.
Mine too.
Okay, so another story that really stood out to me was the one about the Jewish American woman.
Oh, yeah, that one was really interesting.
This one is particularly powerful because it touches on the idea of breaking down those preconceived notions we have about others.
Right.
And it's especially meaningful given the author's background.
Yeah.
They talk about how they didn't really have much exposure to Jewish people growing up,
Mm-hmm.
but later on, when they lived in Montreal, they started forming friendships and professional relationships with Jewish people.
Okay.
And through those experiences, they realized that they actually shared a lot of the same values, hopes, and worries.
It's like that sameness started to shine through.
Yeah, exactly. And so fast forward to the Camino, and the author meets this Jewish American woman, and they hit it off immediately.
Cool.
They decide to walk together for an extra day, and everything's going great.
Okay.
But then the author gets sick, and they haven't eaten anything all day.
Oh, no.
And the Jewish American woman only has one cheese sandwich left for herself.
Oh.
But she gives it to the author.
That's so generous.
It is, right? And the author's so grateful, but they also feel bad that they couldn't properly thank her.
Yeah, it's those little acts of kindness that can have such a huge impact.
Absolutely. It just goes to show that you should never judge someone based on their religion or any other label.
It's about seeing the individual, not the stereotype.
Exactly. And then there's the story about the Spanish guy on the ascent to O Sobrero.
Oh, yeah. That one sounds tough.
It was. The author was really struggling to push their bike up this incredibly steep mountain.
I can imagine.
And out of nowhere, this Spanish guy comes up to them and offers to help.
That's amazing.
It is. And the author's kind of surprised at first because they're used to living in cities where people are more guarded.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But this guy is insistent. He pushes the bike for almost half an hour, all the way to the top.
Seriously? Wow.
And he wouldn't even let the author take over.
He sounds like a really good guy.
He does, right? And then afterwards, when they stop for a meal, the Spanish guy refuses to let the author pay for him.
Wow, he just keeps giving.
I know, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It really challenges that whole idea that everyone's just out for themselves.
Yeah, it shows that genuine kindness still exists.
So we've heard all these stories about people helping each other out on the Camino.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the big takeaway here? What should we as listeners be thinking about?
Well, I think the main message is that we should focus on what unites us as humans instead of what divides us.
Yeah, look for sameness, not difference.
Exactly. The author's experiences on the Camino show that beneath all the labels we use to categorize each other, we all have similar needs, hopes, and vulnerabilities.
It's about recognizing that shared humanity.
Right. And the Camino seems to create this unique environment where those labels become less important and people can connect on a deeper level.
But the author doesn't think this is limited to the Camino.
Right. They believe that this potential for connection exists everywhere if we're just open to it.
So to wrap things up, I think we've seen how the Camino de Santiago can reveal this really powerful undercurrent of shared humanity and kindness.
Definitely.
It's a reminder that despite all the things that can seem to set us apart, there's a fundamental level of connection that binds us all.
And that brings us to a final thought for you, the listener.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about the sameness moments that might be happening all around you in your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
What preconceived notions or assumptions might be preventing you from seeing the shared humanity in the people you encounter?
That's a great question to ponder.
It is. It makes you wonder what kind of connections we might be missing out on if we just opened our perspectives a little wider.
Food for thought.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then.